Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. The Blooming Rooms kit came out and it's not super new anymore, but it inspired me to build a modern mansion, and I did a build using only the base game and the Blooming Rooms kit the day that the Blooming Rooms kit came out, and I cut it and I uploaded it the next day, and I started to build this modern mansion that same evening. However, I did not assume that it would take me 12 hours to complete this mammoth project. I don't even know if you say mammoth project also in English, or if that is a literal translation from German from me. But anyways, this modern mansion was a massive project and I was a little bit out of my element. If you don't know me, I usually build whimsical stuff like flower cottages, fantasy, Victorian, medieval, Tudor, old-style houses, and I don't know if I'm necessarily the best at building those, but that's where I feel the most comfortable. So maybe this build took me such a long time because it was a lot of trial and error and fiddling around, assessing how stuff looks, if it looks good, if it works, etc. And I feel like I learned a lot building this, and I'm kind of proud of the end result, and I have to say I'm very excited to show you. But while editing 12 hours of footage, I realized that if I keep everything in and also don't want the video to be overwhelmingly long, I would have to do something. And also because I just recovered from a cold and I had a very sore throat for a week, I'm not that keen on talking for 40 minutes straight, and if I speed it up too much it becomes awful to watch. So I decided to not show you the furnishing process in the speed build and just show that one to you in the tour in the end, which I initially didn't want to do because I really tried to push myself hard with the interior and like create something beautiful, or like as beautiful as I can produce, but still I think the landscaping and the exterior is where this build shines the most. So I think it's okay this way, and I had so many different sources of inspiration for this build, like so many different simmers that I saw doing super cool things with the items that I know so well from the build catalog or that I knew from the Blooming Rooms kit. And the first thing I saw that sparked my initial itch to build this build was this beautiful creation by Mia Schmier, and something about this screenshot just really clicked with me, and you'll see me put in something really similar into the build when we're done with the landscaping and the actual shape of the structure of the house, yeah, then we have like something to work off of. So initially I put that one that is the recreation, you'll see it later, but initially I put it on top of a balcony, but then it changed the shape and then I put it underneath the balcony and there it seemed right. But yeah, I just had to change the colors of this kind of beautiful area to sit at and stuff, because yeah, I needed to make it more black and white, because when I put it in, it looked like it belonged into like a wedding barn, and it didn't really fit into the modern style of the rest of the mansion. So I changed it up a little, but I plan to build a wedding barn type of build fairly soon, just so that I can put something like this in with the original color scheme, because it's just so pretty. And I'll link Mia Schmier's YouTube and Twitter channels in the description, as well as everyone else's that gave me inspiration or that I took inspiration from, to be fair, for this build, just because I think there is so much like genius and creativity and skill in the Sims community, and every single one of them that is like such incredible simmers and builders builders all deserve shout outs and love and attention, and I don't even know if this video is going to reach many people or if the shout outs are going to do anything, but still I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. So all of them, like so many amazing builders and simmers, are going to be linked in the description. But yeah, so after I saw that post that inspired me so much, that I loved so much, just like a few minutes after, I watched Kayla's, so Little Simsy Shell Challenge Tours, which is where I got almost overwhelmed with inspiration. So for example, there was this gorgeous autumnal gingerbread house by Aleachii. I hope I say that name right, but yeah, it had this awesome landscaping with curved paths and layers and stairs and stuff, and I got curious almost immediately how I could put this type of landscaping into a modern setting, or rather a modern style, so to make it fit to the build that I had in my head. And I don't think my version turned out as beautiful as the original, but I'm still so happy with the outcome, and I like how it worked in a modern style, even though it's really different. And yeah, of course the landscaping is completely different because I included very different types of plants, so plants that are maybe suited a little bit more for a warmer climate, which is interesting because like at the moment in the speed build you see me build this thing in Newcrest, and it's going to stay Newcrest for the entirety of the speed build process. However, later for the tour I also moved this one to the bigger lots in Strangerville and Del Sol Valley, wherever it fits, because yeah, I like in the end I wasn't too happy with the lighting here in Newcrest, and I wanted to see how it works in different neighborhoods. And I have to say, with the modern style and the hills and the coloring, I don't know what it is about it, but something is just there that makes this build work in Newcrest as well as in those neighborhoods with warmer climates. And that's something that I didn't do intentionally, but that just happened, and that I'm very like happy with and proud of, that I created something that works in so many different neighborhoods, because I think that's very nice for like your gameplay, or if you just want to put it into your world to kind of replace some empty lots and stuff, that I made something that works in a lot of different neighborhoods. I think a very good thing for people that maybe want to download it. But yeah, of course my landscaping, because of that and because of the different style, is completely different. And also the lot is a lot bigger, even though sometimes like I built this on a 50 by 40 lot, and sometimes this still felt like it was too small, which I never thought would happen to me on a 50 by 40 lots. And I remember so well when I started playing The Sims and we got Newcrest, started playing The Sims 4, and we got Newcrest, and there was this big 50 by 40 lots, and I was like, oh my god, like how does anyone ever fill a lot this big? Like, what am I supposed to do with this much space? And then I looked at the gallery, and there were so many incredible creations for this Newcrest lot, and I was like, oh my god, these people are crazy. Like, how are they building such massive builds on such a massive lot? Like, how long does that take? Well, now I did it. And I know that it took me 12 hours of straight building. Like, of course, I also like I spaced it out over a couple of different days. It took me, I think, 4 days to complete, and I also made dinner, and I went away to go and grab something to eat. And whenever something like that happened, I stopped the recording and then started it again if I thought about it. Sometimes I missed repressing the recording button, which was very sad. But when I thought of it, I pressed the recording button again, and so it was basically 12 hours of straight building time. which is a long time, so I definitely understand. Well, past me thought this about the crazy builders, and now I'm one of them. I got infected by the building itch in The Sims. But because I made the paths bigger, and so far and so on, I really felt like I could have used even more space. Like I could easily have filled out a 64 by 64 lot with the amount of ideas and pictures that I had in my head of how I wanted this build to look. And yeah, so I was kind of excited, but I think it works well on the 50 by 40 just as well. And there would have just been a little bit more space for like outdoor seating areas and pools and stuff, but I already included like all of those that I wanted to. They just didn't have as much space as I wanted them to have, but it doesn't look cramped in the end. So I'm actually very happy with the size of this lot, but of course that changed things up a bit. Like to have it on a smaller lot like Aleachii had it, makes the path smaller and the landscaping more intricate and instantly look more detailed, whereas mine with the modern look, I didn't want to go as wild with the landscaping. I didn't want there to be like plants all over. I wanted them to be very in order, because I think that's what a lot of people that live in very modern mansions want. They kind of want control over everything, even nature, and so when they have landscaping and plants, they are often very meticulously kept. So I did the same here, and oh yeah, I also included a waterfall because I felt like it. Like, why not? Which was a very fun process. I love building waterfalls, and usually I don't really like the shape of that debug item that we have from Island Living that I used to make the waterfalls. But this time I decided to push it down a little bit further so that you can just see the initial step, and then I take a second one and I do the same. And I think that worked a lot better for the shape that I wanted to achieve. Of course, first it always looks funny when you have like the two ponds like up and down and then the waterfalls, because it's so blocky and it doesn't look right. But later when I went in with a lot of stones and big debug rocks and stuff, I had the possibility to shape the waterfall in the way that I wanted to, and so I'm very, very happy with this waterfall in the end, and I'm very happy that I added it. But yeah, in the beginning of this landscaping and my journey to kind of recreate this style of landscaping in a modern style, I was struggling a little bit with the paths because I made them too symmetrical and it just didn't look right. And so when I first diverted from that symmetry a little bit, it looked worse because it was just off, and I started to be afraid that maybe the whole thing would just like not look as good as it does in my head, or maybe I lack the skill to pull it off, because of course Aleachii is a very, very skillful and talented builder, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just not good enough yet to pull off a landscaping like this. But in the end it turned out it was just like a drawing or an artwork when you have that ugly face. I don't know if you know that one. I don't know if there is an equivalent really if for people that aren't interested in drawing or art at all, but it's basically when you're working on something and you get to a stage where it just doesn't look good and you keep adding to it and changing it and changing it, but it still just isn't the way you want it to be, or it even gets worse. At least for me, that's always the point where I get those thoughts in my head, or maybe I should just stop this project, or like thoughts of abandoning the project just always come into my head in this phase, and they did also too with this build in that phase. But when sticking to it and believing in the project, artwork, build, whatever, and sometimes it's necessary to kind of like take a step away from it and come back with fresh eyes or something, but if you keep working on it, at least in it just starts to work out at some point, and it can become something very beautiful or awesome. And at least in my opinion, that's gladly what happened here. So I stick stuck to it. And what I did was I deleted almost the entire right side and I decided to redo it entirely different. And so I added some additional stairs to the one in the middle on both sides, but on different stations, and the paths also weren't connected, that are like down there and up there on the middle platform and stuff, and I made it very different, and that really helped the build. And after I did this, I was so happy with the landscaping, and I hope you like it too, so that now we can start to take a look at the actual shape of the build and how that one worked out. Oh, but before I get to that, one last person that inspired me for the landscaping was also from the Little Sims The Shell Tours video. Marlene20, I think was the name, and they had in the backyard there was this beautiful area with the pool, where in the middle of the pool, on kind of like a rectangle, there were 2 seats where you can just like lay down and get some sunburn or some browner skin, and then it was divided with kind of like this strip of nature to a different area where there was seating. It was very nice, and I really liked that backyard, so I did something very similar on this platform on the middle layer of the landscaping. So in the middle there was this like bigger platform kind of flat area, and so I decorated this according to that backyard, or with inspiration from that backyard, and that helped me a lot, so I wanted to say that too. But yeah, then we got to the shape of the house, and I had basically 2 ideas in my head. One thing that I really wanted to do was I wanted to have this rounded entry area, so I wanted to have a rounded platform that you can come into, and I wanted to use some windows but without a wall. I wanted to turn them with the tool mods to kind of follow the curvature of the wall, because we sadly don't have curved walls, so I decided to do it like that, and it worked very well. You haven't seen me do it yet, but you're going to see that at the end of the speed build, or near the end of the speed build. So I wanted to have this rounded, closed off, windowy area, and then on top of that I wanted to have a fencing around the same rounded area with some seating, and I think that worked out very well. But then I also saw on Pinterest this beautiful entry area that had this this nice roof, and there were these lines on the floor leading up to it. I can't really explain it well with words, but I'm going to try to show you an image. So I had these 2 things that I wanted in the 2 different entry areas that you have with the 2 different sets of stairs that lead up to the top level. So I had them, but then I was kind of unsure what to do with the middle, and I tried lots of different things. I think I had 4 different things in the middle there, until I settled on something that made use of these wide sort of columns that I had used in both designs, or first only in the one that was inspired by the Pinterest picture, not in the round one. In the round one I first had like 2 normal building pieces left and right to it, but after I saw how well that worked and how important it is also for a lot of modern style builds in The Sims, I decided to make them smaller and more like these wide dividing columns, and then make a very like a sort of flat area in the middle, but that keeps room to decorate with windows and to also have another seating area or like get together area in the middle with sort of an indent to the shape. Then I worked on the back of the house, which was a very fun process. Usually the backs of my builds don't get as much love as the front of my builds, just because like I want them to look good from the front, and then I spend a lot of time and energy and care to make everything look as pristine as possible for the front and for also the gallery image and for possible screenshots for YouTube thumbnail and stuff, and then I don't really have that much time left for the back, and it's just like an afterthought, which I know is not good practice. Like I should put more time and love and energy into the backs of the builds too, but yeah, anyways, if I'm honest, that's how I sometimes do stuff. But this time I was so happy with the back area of this house as well. Like I think the back is almost more interesting than the front because it has this nice section where it kind of like curves out, and then on top of it is this kind of dirt patch where you can put plants on, or where I put plants on, and then down in the bottom there's also this plant patch and some sort of pool stuff. It's not really a pool, it's the other thing where you have like fountains and stuff. So it's basically like 2 layers, kind of built like a castle, where you have the water to protect your castle, just not like just the modern version of it basically, and not encapsulating the entire build, so it doesn't really work the same, but it has just like this look. And then on the other side of the build, you again have these white columns left and right, but then you have an indent that is black that has kind of this thing that comes out to the front that is brown again, and have like the brown and the black immediately next to each other, like I have something similar in the front, but I really like how this one worked out. So yeah, I'm very happy with the back. And also in the back I later decorated a little bit with a bar area and also a dining table that has this room divider item from the Blooming Rooms kit next to it, that I think worked very well on the outside as well. I first had only used it on the interior of a house in my first build that was just base game and affordable, and just base game in the Blooming Rooms kit kind of build. There I used it on the interior, but this time on the exterior I think it worked just as well. I'm a big fan of this item. Oh yeah, and quickly on a totally different note, if you realize my hair being like a slightly different color down here than it is on top, that is intentional. That's not my camera being weird. That is because we reached like the final milestone for my Able Gamers Charity Week, and that was to dye my hair like purple ombre or purple balayage, yeah, this I tried to do it but it's not really that noticeable yet, so I made it like I put it in the coloring to the hair dye 2 times, trying to get this down here to look purple, but it just turned out to be like a little bit more reddish pinkish, but it's not really that noticeable. So I'm very soon going to go looking for another hair dye to kind of like try it again and to actually make this purple. So if you are later going to see me with more noticeably purple hair, that's the reason why. But for now it's just like a little bit more reddish. I think it doesn't look too bad, but yeah, if you have any experience with dyeing your hair yourself, trying to do like an ombre balayage look yourself, and dyeing your hair purple with having naturally blonde hair, please let me know in the comments. I'm looking for suggestions because beforehand I had never really dyed my hair, so maybe I did something wrong and that's why it's just like this shimmer of purple or reddish color. But yeah, that was just like a quick diversion. So yeah, as some last little touches on this actual build, I added in a lot of seating areas, so I decorated all of the different areas that kind of qualify as balconies or just like spaces on the exterior that need to be filled. I also added in the area that I talked in the beginning, that I kind of changed to that black and white look, the one that's inspired by Mia Schmier. Yeah, that one I added in, and then as a last little touch, I also put in some plants and landscaping to the like immediately in front of the exterior of this build, just so that this big brown platform doesn't look like such a wasteland and there's actually some plantage there. And I think that really helped the build. I hope that you like it so far. I hope that you're also going to like the interior that you're going to see in the tour in the end. I wish you the most amazing rest of your day. Have so much fun. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you liked and enjoyed the video. If you would consider subscribing, you would make me super duper happy, and I hope we'll see each other again.